So you usually know the holidays are approaching when you hear that little jingle walking down the street from the Salvation Army. And they are kicking off their Red Kettle fundraising campaign early this year, trying to offset the loss in donations from the pandemic. And, not only are Americans not carrying around as much cash as they used to, but now there's a national coin shortage that's added to the challenge for the Salvation Army. And the commissioner, Kenneth Hodder, joins us right now. And it's just not as many coins in circulation. You wouldn't think of things like that, but who would have thought we'd go through a year like this? You normally make most of your money. I think it's like 40% around this time of year. What are your projections, 2020 versus maybe the last few years?
Well, it's great to be with you today, Connell. Thanks for this opportunity. The Salvation Army's annual Christmas Kettle campaign is an iconic one. And in terms of how the Salvation Army meets human needs through the year, the Kettle campaign raises about $126 million, which is a very high percentage. And this year we're expecting, by virtue of the coin shortage, by virtue of fewer retail locations, less foot traffic, the fact that more people are suffering on their own in terms of their economic circumstances, we're projecting about a 50% decline in the money that comes in at those kettles.
Wow, that's a big loss, obviously, for the people who rely on you. So what do you do about it? I mean, like everybody else, I guess you go digital, but people don't associate you with that as much. And probably, I'm sure that's why you're on with us today, to get people to know about it. But people think they're walking down the street, here in New York all the time. You come out of, Penn Station, coming up from the train, there's the Salvation Army, the guy's ringing the bell, maybe you give them a few dollars. But if you don't see them, you don't think of it. So what can people do this year?
Well, the Salvation Army, of course, is going to face an enormous need this year. And part of the message we're trying to get across is that the extent of the need that faces Americans this year far outstrips anything that we've seen in decades. We're anticipating about 155% more people coming to the Salvation Army this year. That will be well over 6 million people. And if we don't all remain conscious of that need, lots of people are going to go without. There will be food insecurity, there will be rent losses, there will be utility problems, there will be no Christmas presents under the tree. So to respond to this, the Salvation Army, of course, is going to go digital, even at the kettles themselves. Wherever we're able to place a kettle, an individual will be able to bump their phone on the sign and make a donation electronically. We're also inviting people to go to a special website, rescuechristmas.org, where they'll be able to plug in their own zip code, find out what's going on there. If they have a need, they'll be able to let us know about it, and they'll be able to make a donation, both on a one-time basis or on a sustaining basis for the coming year. We're also working with Alexa. Amazon is helping us, so you'll be able to make a donation on Alexa. And we're able to receive donations via text. If people will text the word kettle to 91999, it'll go right to the Salvation Army in the community in which they live. We want folks to know that all of the donations that they make will stay local.
Well, those are all very good ideas, even especially the in-person, because now I think we're used to going to restaurants where you have to hold up your phone and you scan the QR code to get the menu up because people don't want to pass around paper as much. So kind of similar. Now you hit your phone. I guess Apple Pay or Google's version of that would work, and people could pay. People could pay that way. Will you keep? You'll keep all this stuff, right? Or were you doing a lot of it already?
Well, no, actually, we only field tested the Google Pay and Apple Pay modes of contribution last year, and we did it on a small basis. But it turned out to be a wonderful experiment because it helped us to ramp up quickly in light of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The other thing is, too, I was thinking, I don't know if you've seen this or have any evidence of it. As bad as the economy is, and for as many people who are struggling, we were talking about small businesses earlier, it's just been brutal. There are also a lot of people who are not struggling. There are a lot of, we report on the stock market, for example, every day, and it's close to 30,000 on the Dow. There are a lot of people who have been very lucky, financially. They've been able to work from home, and they've seen their portfolios go up. So in some ways, there must be an opportunity for you guys. There are people with disposable income who, I would think, if you want to be optimistic, they want to help, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have always found that the American public trusts the Salvation Army, and when they're aware of a need, people will respond. It's been our experience so far that there is a K-shaped recovery going on right now in the country. There are people who are able to give more, but of course we are concerned with the additional 8 million people who have fallen into poverty since May. So we think that if we can work together at this time in what could be a very dark winter for a lot of Americans, we can bring a lot of light to the situation.
All right. So if you're in that lucky part of the economy, there's a chance to help. Yes. And maybe do it online or with Alexa, whatever the case may be that you have in your house. Kenneth Hodder is the Commissioner at the Salvation Army. Thank you, sir. Good luck with everything. We'll hope things pick up.